Hello, Taylor Ellwood here, and welcome to the Magical Experiments podcast. It's been a little while since I've been on here. I've been away for a few weeks because of just very demanding work schedule, but I'm back, and I'm happy to be back. Tonight, I thought I would kick off 2024 with an exploration of the mechanics of cursing. I recently finished reading The Preeminent Curse by Stephanie Connolly, and I also read a book about counter cursing by Diana Rajel. Both were really good books. Highly recommend them. And it got me thinking a lot about cursing. So, what is a curse? First of all, a curse is generally a working that is done because a person feels some type of need to attack somebody. And they may be doing it as a form of justice seeking. They may be doing it for revenge or retribution. They might just be doing it because they're an awful person. Sometimes it's a combination of all the above. I'm not going to really judge anyone who's ever thrown a curse, because if I did, I'd be judging myself. I've thrown the occasional curse. I don't do it. I don't really advocate doing it too often. I think that there has to be some real justification, and I'm definitely of the mind that it should be a matter of seeking justice. Because really, if we look at why people throw curses, a lot of times they'll throw curses because they feel powerless, or they feel like this is the way that they can do something about a situation where they may not have much control. And I get that, and I don't think that there is anything necessarily wrong with that. Per se. I think that sometimes you can be in a situation where you've been greatly wronged, and you can feel a need to do something about that. And if nothing else, the curse can be cathartic for yourself. So I think that's an important thing to consider. At the same time, I also think just as equally, what's equally as important to consider is, what is the impact of this work on yourself? What is the cost for you? To my mind, the one thing that really stands out about cursing is that cursing is a further entanglement with the person that you're cursing. I mean, think about it. Okay, this person's wronged you. You're ticked off at them. And so what are you doing? You're doubling down, and you're throwing more attention, energy, magic, whatever, at them in order to get a sense of justice, of retribution, or whatever else. But at the same time, you're giving more of yourself over to this situation. Now, again, sometimes that's what's needed. You need some catharsis. But I think it's really important to look at it and ask yourself, what am I getting out of this? If I'm directing all of my anger and everything else toward this person to get back at them, maybe I get back at them. But nonetheless, I'm also directing more energy toward them. I'm giving more of myself to them. I'm still in their power, in a sense. So that's something to keep in mind. And at the same time, sometimes what we need to do is we need to protect ourselves. We need to take care of ourselves, and we need to know that we're taking care of ourselves. And that only can happen if we take the time to look at the situation and say, what do I need to do to find balance here? I will say that 9 times out of 10, my own approach to cursing is I don't do it. Yes, the person may have wronged me, but chances are I will focus my energies instead on living my best possible life, going out there and doing everything I can to make my life amazing and awesome and brilliant. On the other hand, there are those rare occasions where I will do something. For example, I once had someone give me a gift, but it was really a curse where they were trying to, I noticed shortly after I got the gift, I stopped being very creative. And this was a person who was a bit of a rival. And I noticed that it happened, and I stopped being creative. at that point, I ended up doing what I did is I basically did a counter curse for all intents and purposes to protect myself. I got rid of the gift, and I sent what that person had done back to them, and took back my creativity and then some. Um, Brent says, what about binding to destroy the violation of a boundary instead of total destruction? Yeah, binding could be a good response or a good way to address the situation. So, I mean, these are things to think about. Like, what do I need to do to address or resolve this in a way that feels safe for me? What do I need to do? If you're doing it out of sheer spite, if you're doing it because you want to get back at a person, again, I'm going to say, like, really look at that and maybe look toward doing some work in yourself. Yeah, freeze or spell to stop gossip. That could be handy. Sometimes a lot of the work that we do can really just be a matter of putting in a binding or putting something into place that protects us, that sets better boundaries. So it's not even really a curse so much as I am doing a counter working in order to protect myself. I am doing something in order to make sure that I've put into place a proper boundaries. Where I find that cursing goes out of control is when somebody's like, I'm going to do everything I can to destroy this person's life because they've crossed me. And, I mean, again, you can do that, but revenge often ends up eating you up. It often ends up taking away something essential from yourself, and in the process hurts you more than whatever it is you thought you were doing. So it's really important to remember that and to recognize that maybe you don't need to go down that rabbit hole. If I look at the mechanics of a working, always look at how things are tied together. Do I really want to have this kind of connection? Or do I want to put better boundaries? Or do I want to put better protections? Or do I want to put something that allows me to move on? I think, for example, that blocking somebody on your phone is a perfect example of a curse. You are removing them from your life. You are excluding them. You are letting them know, like, in no uncertain terms, like, you're gone. Like, I'm not going to deal with you ever again. That could be a form of a curse, but it's also a boundary. It's a protection of yourself. And it's a really good way of bringing yourself a sense of judgment. I have cut this person out of my life. I have moved on. I'm not going to allow this person to affect me anymore. That's a consideration to take. Like, you don't have to continue to put up with unhealthy behavior. But when we look at it, it's always important to really look at why we're doing what we're doing. And so I always say, take a measured approach if you're going to do this kind of work, and do it from a place of self-awareness and honestly just a place of catharsis for yourself. Sometimes the best work is really more about helping yourself move on. And that's okay. That's reasonable. But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go and harm someone else in the process. It just means you have to do something that allows you to move on and then focus on living your best possible life. All right, I'll probably end up doing a follow-up video on this, but I wanted to just kind of get this sent off because I haven't done a video in a while. So thanks for watching and have a great day.